of the people around you. And
Right.
if your network is not thriving, your network worth can't change, right?
Right.
So to your point, a lot of this is people are just not aware. They come to these things, they arrive at this place of investing, with not having fundamental knowledge, like baseline information on what it is they're even trying to go after.
Yeah.
And the reason why I back them up to deal with the mindset, because you can get it and squander it if your mind has not been transformed or if it has not been renewed. We see it all the time.
All right, hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Practical Wealth Show. So I'm excited to have a good friend of mine, Terri Brown, and we're going to talk about real estate. So you can start, so you know what this episode is about. So let me tell you about Terri. Terri's a real estate investor, developer, general contractor, a coach, and a professional speaker. She's a serial entrepreneur with all of her companies operating as a service impact model. So she has a really, this is what's great about her heart for the people, community development. She's the founder and executive director of Resiliency Way, a nonprofit 501c3 providing personal enrichment training, financial literacy, women from my own heart, housing opportunities to girls and women affected by domestic violence. She purchased her first home at age of 22 and has been real estate investing since 2006. She's passionate, this is why she's on the show, about providing financial independence, wealth exposure, and access to individuals and communities that otherwise are disenfranchised and distressed. Terri's goals are to provide encouragement, education, empowerment with every individual and community engagement opportunity. She embodies the essence of resourcefulness and resilience. She went from being adjudicated youth to rising the ranks in the Philadelphia Police Department, right? Yep, not yet, yes, right? And so she went from being homeless at age 16 to owning homes, and currently is managing and growing a rental portfolio. She went from living on the roughest crime ridden areas of North Philly, and to building a $500,000 home, new construction in the suburbs where she currently resides. Her greatest accomplishments is going from a hellraiser to heaven's ambassador. And prior to becoming a full-time investor, Terri worked for the Philadelphia Police Department, retired as a police detective with 14 years of credible service. And so she does construction management, she does buy and hold, she does wholesaling, she does creative financing. And so we're going to talk about, how to get started. She works with a lot of newbies and experienced people and just knows all things real estate. So I brought her on today. I spoke at an event she had. I said, look, I need you on my show because you're brilliant. So Terri, welcome to the Practical Wealth Show.
Thank you for having me, Curtis. You're amazing.
Yes, I am. No, this is going to be fun. So I'm very, she already knows I'm very silly.
Absolutely.
So what did I tell them? That's a mouthful. So you're quite accomplished young women. And anything I don't know that you want to mention, we can just kind of get into that, but I want to pick up, tell them I didn't tell them.
No, I think you covered everything. And
Everything, okay.
To not delay the nuts and the bolts of what we want to get to, I won't
Oops.
delay
All right,
any
so
longer with my background.
Let's not keep the people waiting. So the one of the things is that let's talk about getting into real estate, right? What's and you train a lot of people, so that's why I want to come from that perspective. And so what is when people come, and so we know each other, just put it out there, shout out Nicole Purdy, we both know each other from BTS very successfully. And I interviewed Nikki, so I'll see if I can link to that interview on that, because I had her on the show a couple of years ago actually. And but what are you seeing? So you've been working in the space and working with a lot of new people. Let's talk about what are some, 2 or 3 or 4 of mistakes people make when you're wanting to get into the game. How are they thinking wrong, or what do you see?
Yeah, so because you and I share the same psychology around a few things, which is this education paired with execution approach. I'm going to give just more than 4, because we really want to empower people to do better and to be more successful in this real estate investing state. So here are a couple things that I jotted down. One, newbies try to execute without the education. They don't run numbers or familiarize themselves with formulas and terms as it relates to a specific track, right? So there are over 15 real estate investing strategies. I love 5. I live in 5 of them, which is buy and hold, selling, fix and flip, silent investor, and I do quick platform investing as well. And what people don't realize is that there's a language. Football has a language, basketball has a language, real estate investing has a language, and so they don't familiarize themselves with the language, with the terms, with the formulas, and so they struggle when it comes to lending opportunities, because they're not, they didn't take into account when a buy and hold that when you refi out, you have to make sure the debt coverage is there, right? And so that's the language that the banks talk in. But if you don't know, and they go to ask you that, they're fumbling and stumbling. Additionally, the APOD is connected to a buy and hold strategy, and it helps you forecast out. And so oftentimes, just having a level of familiarity with that, it dictates whether you get into it.
So what's an APOD? Break that down. Talk about vocabulary. What's an APOD?
Oh, snap. So that is a formula that consists of net operating expenses, gross operating expenses, cap rates.
Right. So I would call that a pro forma. You gotta, here's what I got for, here's what the rent is, here's what the, like here are the expenses, the taxes, and after that, that's your carrying cost of how much debt you can afford. how much,
Absolutely. And it's a
yeah,
worksheet that you can plug and play.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And so that's what you mean by not investing with the numbers. You know, you don't even need to see the property, you need to see the numbers first.
You need to see the, I believe you need to see the numbers and you need to know the numbers. Number three, they don't prioritize liquidity. And so, we
Amen.
hear these sexy terms like OPM and all of that, and that's great. But they discount or they undervalue the need to stay liquid at all times, right? You should go in wanting to prioritize liquidity. The fourth thing I would say is they associate real estate investing with flipping only. So everybody wants to or thinks that real estate investing only entails fixing and flipping. And I would say, HGTV kind of has a hand in that.
Hmm,
And
hmm.
so I would say that is the fourth
You
thing.
know,
The
it's
fifth
funny.
mistake that I see.
I don't think wholesaling and fixing and flipping is real estate investing. I view it as more of a transactional business. Like it's a business because you're like, it's real estate is the product. We could differ on that. I just because I want people like if you're trying to, because you're
Yeah.
as good as you. I had a guy, you remember I have no original thoughts, right? So I had this guy, this Dan Satowski. So I interviewed him a while ago. I met him at a meetup. This guy was doing 100 flips a year, making $1 million. I had no life. And people just got up in the merry-go-round of buying, flipping, chasing money. He says, look, now this guy's got like 900 doors. And I'll call him. He's on his boat. He's somewhere because boom, every month he's got this cash flow coming in. And so you can do that, but you're buying holder, right? You want to become financially independent. So it's both. It's like rowing a boat. You got to have both oars in the
You
water.
should.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
by definition of buying and selling, having an equitable interest in a transaction, fixing and flipping is investing. Wholesaling is investing. And
Okay.
again, it's depending on
You ain't got to agree with
how
me. That's right.
technical you
You
get.
can
But
push
to your
back.
point,
It's all right.
we could debate on that all day
I
long.
have no problem with that. Listen, that makes it a fun interview.
I love you though. The fifth thing is that they don't build a team. They have this model of going it alone, not necessarily, and I get it to a certain degree because Jesus wasn't welcomed in his own home. So sometimes people can't share their activity with people who are in their immediate circle, and they take that type of approach coming into the larger space. But you can't get far with a one-man team. In fact, the transactions itself requires you to have other people that you need to rely on. So people don't build teams. Six, they don't hire a coach or mentor. They rely on, in this world of information technology and all of that, they rely on piecemealing it. And there's nothing wrong with educating yourself that way. However, most people are starting late or they're starting without a background. And so you hire a coach and mentor so that you can get somewhere fast. You can reduce the learning curve, or it can be less steep than it needs
Hmm,
to be.
hmm,
You
hmm.
can get to some things quicker because their contacts become yours. They act as an accountability partner. I can say a lot about mentoring coaching, and not just because I am one. I've been investing in myself by hiring a mentoring coach 15, 16 years ago and have done it ever since.
And it cuts your
Number
time
seven,
down, right? It cuts down on the because see, here's the challenge I see, Terry. People start late. So they feel behind the eight ball and they trying to hit a home run, right? On your first at bat, they want to hit a home run where,
out the gate,
right out
out
the
the
gate,
gate.
right? And so you got to take your swings. You can get 4 base hits, right? And still,
Sure.
use baseball analogy and do that. And so, but if you're really serious, you need to invest in education. You can't get all your education from Instagram, right? You need to get enough, listen to some podcasts like these, and you need to reach out to people like her. So as you're listening to stuff, you got, oh, I really resonate with her. We should call her, okay? And this, she's done the thing, right? And so a mentor is somebody. So there's a difference between a mentor and a coach, right? Which you can do both, but a mentor has done the thing you want to do, right? So know
Sure.
all of the pitfalls, right? And so you want it. So if you feel like you're really behind, and you ain't got time to be messing around, going from one disaster to another.
Absolutely. And to your point, shout out to the coaches. The other thing is that they are able to devise a plan
Right,
based on what your gifts, talents, personal portfolio or profiles are, and they can get you down the field
right, right.
quicker
Yeah,
versus
and help you
if you're
accountability
trying
and
to,
structure your
develop a
time.
play
And
yourself.
yeah, so I'm not saying that. I meant to
Absolutely.
finish that thought. But you're a coach and a mentor because you've done this, the fruit is on your tree. That's what I'm saying. But and most even the BTS coaches, all of them are mentors because they all are really good investors, right? To reach out I know them personally. I've been part of BTS for 4 years at least. Okay, and so that is keep going. Okay.
Yep. And number seven, I would say they aren't strategic in their investment planning and financial goals. So again, if it is, people come into this space like I want to flip and make a boatload of money, right? But there are some contributing factors to if you're able to do that or not, and that comes in, being methodical and strategic in your planning. And you might find in that not now is not the time for you. Doesn't mean never. It just means not now. And if you respond to that, then you put yourself in a better position to actually achieve your goal. So that's my number seven. Number eight is that they under budget, and this is a big one that I see. They under budget repair costs to get profit, right? But you should budget at cost and contingency, and definitely not to try and make the numbers work. So they try to make the numbers work on the front end. Somebody comes along and say, okay, they want the job, and because their model is they're chasing money, they're not really chasing
Hmm.
calling, and that's okay. I'm not here to demean anyone or guilt trip anyone or anything like that. But when you have that type of contracting, and they take they take the budget that you want them to have, then what you find is the contractor gets in there. There's all kinds of things going on because you can't see what you can't see. You don't know what you don't know until you start pulling things back. And now, the contractor has a bunch of change orders and they get the rep that they try nickel and dime people. But I would venture to say, and there's two sides to that coin, but I would venture to say, based on what I'm seeing, folks under budget, and investors, particularly newbies, they're, trying to get more in the front on the very first deal. And so they think I'm gonna reduce the cost because they can't do anything about the price unless they negotiate it properly. That's another topic for another day.
Right,
And so that's huge because you can end up with you went in with a $50,000 budget, and that can end up being upwards another 50,000 plus L&I involved if you did not do your due diligence on the front end.
And so L&I, just for if y'all
So
are
those
just
are
in Philadelphia, let me is licensed inspection. So if you're in Baltimore, if you're in St. Louis, wherever you're listening to this, you all have your version of that for your cities or your counties, L&I. So you got to that come inspecting and that kind of stuff. So we wanted to, but in Philly, we're all very familiar with L&I.
Thanks for clarifying that for me.
Right.
I forgot you have a broad
Yes, we're
audience.
national. Yes.
That's amazing. Those aren't small potatoes.
Right. So that's a really good list. Boy, all right. I love
I
all
could
of
go
that.
on, but those
Yeah,
are
I
my
know.
topics.
So let's go to the they're new. They don't because see one of the things Kiyosaki was saying, you're in the numbers business, you're in the math business, right? The numbers tell a story. And so financial literacy is accounting, right? It's the ability to read numbers. And I find that one, they start late, they want to hit a home run, they won't do their homework. So Terry, they always violate. I was just talking to a client before we jumped on the call, the 3 rules of investing. Invest in what you know, or invest in knowing. Mentorship, coaching, classes, right? That's your first investment before you buy anything. Invest in between your 2 ears, invest in what you can control. That's why we like real estate, because you can control it, how you buy it, how you sell it, cash flow, and don't chase returns, right? And so what you'll find is that people are chasing returns in general because they don't have, to your other point, a plan, like because your financial plan precedes the business or the investment plan. Because, do you find that if you were to press them, Terry, and say, well, what do you want? Why do you want it? Could they answer that?
They don't, or it's very linear. It's just based on I want to get my first house, and I back people up to say that is the result of you getting into something else. That's a byproduct of another why that can help you answer your why, or at least it should be with investing, because you really don't want that house. You want what that house can bring,
Yes.
which is the capital. And so yeah, I think that they keep it specific but not broad enough nor realistic, so it's not a smart goal at all.
Right. Like, what is your goal? Like, do you want to be financially independent? Right. Well, what does that look like? How do you know
Sure.
when you've won? So that's kind of stuff I'll ask people, right? And and so that's what we're getting with the coaches. Like, so I'll say to people, listen, I was showing a guy that was doing well, and would have close to $1 million in his 401k. And I said, well, but you're still short a few $100,000. So you might a few $1 million, right? So what if you change asset class a little bit and focus more on cash flow? So could you buy no, so I was showing somebody, I said, look, all right, so let's say you wanted what did I say? What this person was? It was 18 or 20,000 a month. I said, well, let's say you can net 500,000 a month, which would be low, but I like to do it, or maybe high, I'm not sure. And I said, well, so you need 22 of those 22 properties, right? So and so let's say you want to do that in 10 years, that's 2 houses a year for the next 10 years. Or if you want to do it in 5 years, then you double that, right? And see, so it's now you got a plan.
Sure.
That's how, and so now you're just like people want to buy X amount of stocks to retire off of. If you just change the asset class called real estate, now you can get with somebody that can help you. Could you help them build a portfolio in 5 to 7 years, get out the rat race?
Oh, absolutely.
That's what you need. See somebody that thinks like that.
Yeah, I mean, we do it all the time. We call it the missing money math. That's how I show people what money they're missing right now, right? So the average wholesale deal is 10,000. The average flip is about 30 to 40,000, depending on where you are number wise. And we show them, okay, this is how much you can make over this period of time. And people coming into this space to kind of decide if it's something they want to do, I show them the numbers. Here is your potential earning of making $25,000 in a month versus your $50,000 that it takes you an entire year to make.
Right.
You can potentially make that in 2 months and live, right? And have your mind intact, your heart intact. You ain't almost going to jail because you want to do something to your boss, right? And so we show them the value and the trade-off of what that looks like based on the numbers, pure numbers. So to your point, that people don't think in those terms. And so it seems as if it's something outside of their reach, or that this thing that we're talking about, and I've been there, my background does not, really says that I shouldn't even be at the table, based on, single parent home, public housing, no, I wasn't a trust fund baby, obviously. The extent of money, right? So at our dinner table, we weren't talking about what's your relationship with money and how money can be a tool for you. Those weren't the kind of conversations we were having. And so initially, I stumbled and fumbled. Like you talk about me being this wealth advisor. Now I'm not that, but what I do have is some lived experience. I got around hearing something different, so I was able to change and transform my mind. I was able to hear and do, and then I was able to put myself in a position where the overflow that I was hearing, I tell the story all the time, which really propelled me in this space. I gave my life to Jesus at my late teens, and the first thing I was hearing about how big this guy was, and just the life that I could have, and how free I could be. But I was surrounded around other believers who were struggling. They were praying hard for God to just pay a rent bill. And so it was incongruent with what I was hearing and what I
Right.
was seeing.
Right.
And I began to question it. Like, okay, if the goal is for me to have abundant life, why am I living beneath my means? I put out something today. It's one thing about talking about being good and trying to look good, but not actually being good.
Right.
What does that look like? Hosting family dinners and paying for everything, but my water get ready to get cut off, right?
Right. Right.
And so it's the things that we hear, and it's this, all these buzzwords and these sexy terms, but when you really pull the curtain back, people aren't living that way. And
Right.
so, I saw that over a couple of years of constantly hearing about this limitless God, and I can have sweatless victories, but I wasn't having it. And so it caused me to question some things. And so here we are, right?
How was that
You want to dig a
transformation?
little deeper on
Yeah.
that?
How's mentally? So you went from, and even as a, because I could see you being, although I know I have not quite a few, but a few like detective level police officers that are learning how to invest. But how do you pull yourself out of dealing with that stuff every day, staying positive, and then working? Because the hardest part is that mental transformation that you're able to do. Let me go back to the church thing for a second. So one of the things is that, and that's from Myra Gold, right? So because see, this is what people miss. Like they praying to Jesus to pay their rent bill. What is that, right? So the formula is become, right?
Absolutely.
That's why you're investing. No, do,
Absolutely.
have, right? So you have to be
Absolutely.
first and see, but being is work, right? Transformation is hard. Reading, it's not really it's not hard, but like, so if you can read 10 to 15 pages a day of a good book, you'll read at least a dozen, 15 books a year, and you'll start to work on your philosophy. General says most people have a money problem, they have a philosophy problem. Your philosophy determines your attitude. Your attitude determines your actions. What you do, your actions determine your results. So if you've got a series of bad attitude actions, then it's the daily decisions that you make, hanging around broke people, that determine your trajectory. So you have to get in control of your philosophy, and then you'll start making better decisions. Who you hang around, what you watch, what you listen to, what you read. And you started doing that. Did you just stumble into that, or like, was that intentional? I know it became
No,
intentional, but
so yeah, so I know we're not on a church broadcast, so I'll be mindful of that. But it really starts there for me.
mhm,
And again, as I was hearing these things, one of the things that came up was you have to be able to go after these things. And when I say things, we're talking about wealth generation, passive income, more income, even your daily interactions. You have to be able to go after those things from a place of being,
mhm,
not doing. We don't struggle with how to do things, but we
mhm,
do struggle with how to be. And we don't even realize that you can't go. You only go as far as your character or the content of your character will take you. And
yes,
so if you are anxious, if you are excited and you're not doing things from a place of rest, then that's going to reflect in the decisions you make. That's going to reflect in what you attract. And so when you ask me, how did one of the reasons why I left the police department, because I started to suffer a mental and emotional intelligence decline.
mm,
And I knew that that was possible based on a lot of things that we see and we do. But my mind had not, even though I started the process years ago, it had not fully transformed from survival mode to thriving mode,
mhm,
because I know how to survive.
mhm,
And a lot of my successes come from, being resourceful, being resilient. But that is not a way of living. It diminishes your quality of life.
mm,
And so once I realized that, I was, full of anxiety and angst on Sunday after I just got out of a church service,
mhm,
preparing for Monday,
mhm,
I started questioning, is this the space I need to be in? And here's a plug, a real estate plug. Because I had dived in earlier
mhm,
and I was preparing for my retirement, I was able to leave based on what was right for me,
right,
right? A lot of people stay in these spaces because they have no other option. They have to go to work. They have to deal with their coworkers. But I was blessed to start putting myself on a trajectory that at any moment it got too risky for me, or I just couldn't take it anymore, couldn't take a politics, couldn't take whatever. I could step away from it. And so that's where it came from. It came from me renewing my mind around what I was created to be, what the Lord created me to be, and that was more. I always feel like, and I believe that we're all created for more time, more money, more relationships, more experiences, and being locked into the 9 to 5 that I was in, and the type of 9 to 5 that I was in. It was almost an enemy of the state, and I was no longer willing to allow it to be.
yeah, yeah. I think that people have to allow themselves to, or work hard at breaking out of that box, and because security, see, people think security lies in a job, but what your experience tells you, you were able to produce, right? So you knew you were making money, you had passive income, and if you can, again, it goes back to being. See, so if you know you can make money, then you're not locked into, I have to stay somewhere I hate for 10 years. I don't even understand that, right?
Amen.
That's so you have to get
Amen.
mad, right? So you get me hyped now. The
Mad,
right,
fire
right,
it
right.
up.
You
That's
mad. You
right.
have to
You
see,
have to
first
be.
the thing, you have to be mad, right?
That's
You
right.
got to wake up being eaten up with not being rich, but winning, wanting to be able to control your life and not have somebody be able to put their thumb and tell you what to do. And I think that, like I was reading Napoleon Hill's, and it was a newsletter. I was reading the book, The Magic Ladder of Success. And so the first principle in Napoleon Hill is achieve definite aim. Like you got to have something that you want, that you are like totally into, that you're willing to pay the price to get. See, I think
That's
people
right.
are wishy-washy, right? And so most five, only, like he says in the book, only 5% of people have a definite aim. Rest 95% of the people are drifting. Drifters. They're just drifting. And then
Mhm.
what somebody said, he wrote in what's it called, the Conversation with the Devil, something like that. He says that devil's biggest tool to get people off their thing is drifting. I'm watching TV, I'm on social media, and they're drifting, and they're just not accomplishing what they're capable of accomplishing, right? And
And
go ahead.
yeah, no, and I just wanted to say, for those out there who, it may be resonating with, I can honestly say, some of it is not some of it is not the individual's fault. A lot of it is based on where you come from and
Yeah.
what you allow to continue. As I mentioned, as I was hearing differently, when I looked around, a lot of the people around me were living worse off than I was.
Hmm. Hmm.
Here I am, this 22-year-old with a home. I just had purpose after I felt like God had given me another opportunity at life based on my earlier years
Hmm.
that I was going to buy a home and no one was going to ever be able to put me out. I also put me out again. I was going to always have keys to my house and the other houses that I
Hmm.
wanted.
Hmm.
I also purposed in my heart that no one would be the total source of providing for the needs that I had, just my basic needs.
Right.
And so but now I'm looking around me at this stage, and there's no one that reflects what I'm feeling in my heart.
Right.
Right. And so this level, there's a lot of ignorance around it, and we don't have a whole lot of conversations about it. And so that's why it's important for me to not to always throw a lifeline and provide that low level education, even around poverty mindsets. And because we know, again, back to the mindset, your mindset dictates what kind of habits you form,
Yeah.
and what kind of habits you form dictate what you do in your daily life. Right. And so you're creating these daily habits that is a direct reflection of what's going on in your mind and what's going on in your heart. And some of it is based on what you have learned in a learned environment. Right. Based on a lot of it is, who is what they say separation. There's a 1 degree, or
Right.
I'm
6 degrees
missing that
separation.
whole
Yeah.
of the people around you. And
Right.
if your network is not thriving, your network worth can't change. Right.
Right.
So to your point, a lot of this is people are just not aware. They come to these things, or they arrive at this place of investing with not having fundamental knowledge, like baseline information on what it is they're even trying to go after.
Yeah.
And the reason why I back them up to deal with the mindset, because you can get it and squander it if your mind has not been transformed or if it has not been renewed. We see it all the time. And you gave us an illustration the other day. You can have a bucket and it's almost like holes, right? Because you did not properly learn how to keep the money, or you
Right.
didn't sufficiently learn how to keep the money that you get. That was me. I was getting money. I was working because I told you I decided that I was going to source my provisions, me and the good Lord. And but I didn't understand investing. I didn't understand that I could be poor no more. I didn't understand that I could be working, be working and be poor at the same
Right.
time.
Right. Right. Right.
Right.
Sometimes you can be in the real estate rat
So
race, right? Living rent to rent. If you don't really, again, have a plan.
absolutely,
Yeah.
check the check. I was telling somebody the other day. Here I am loaning people money, and I needed a loan. I'm loaning people money, and my gas is I didn't have hot water because my gas was off. I purposed that I wasn't going to be put out of the house. I didn't learn how to maintain expenses.
Right. Right.
Keep reducing, reduce liability and expense, and always stay increasing your income. I didn't learn all of that. So,
Right.
I just want to say, a lot of people are deficient in this education approach that we love to pair with execution.
Yes, I love that. We have to do another show because now I'm thinking about it because we talked about the beginners, right? Let's do a little bit. So talk about, because you'll get beginners, but there's people that like the community and they're at a certain level. They've got 5, 6, 7 doors. They've done, several wholesale deals. What would you say are some things, 2 or 3 things they're missing that will take them to the next level? How do you up level yourself into your next level of investments? Because you've done that, you've gone through that process also. And I think there are people I see people that are doing well, but they could do better and they're looking to do better. What do you say to them?
So I would say to them, one, get refamiliarize yourself with the 7+ types of income,
Hmm.
right? So you have earned, you have passive, you have royalty, you have dividends, you have and so I love rents. I love real estate investing because it allows me to get all 7 streams or types of income,
Hmm.
and be able to thrive from that place, right? I say all the time, one is too close to none. So if you have one income, that's too close to not having none. If you
Right.
have one best friend, that's too close to not having a friend. If you have one strategy, that's too close to not having a strategy.
Hmm.
And so what I see is, people get locked in, and I am a believer that when you're starting out, you can't try to have your hands in 25 pots,
Come on
right?
now. Yep.
Because there is still some learning you're doing, some savviness you're developing, or you need to develop to go to that next level. But once you've been here a while, don't get stagnant. You shouldn't. As I mentioned, prioritizing liquidity is also a mistake that even people who are seasoned don't they make,
Hmm.
right? And so we understand as investors that there's good and bad debt, but that doesn't mean you should not continuously be improving your earning potential and your financial potential and the capital on hand that you have, because anything could happen. And so we see people even following the buy and hold approach, and all of their portfolio have mortgages. That's dangerous for me. I think if you're going to leverage that, you need to leverage that strategically. But anything again could happen, i.e., tenants can stop paying, right? And if they stop paying, or COVID happened, and you're relying on the city to give them money, and you didn't plan sufficiently, and you don't have, in business, and you and I are aligned here with profit first, it's almost a way. I started leveraging that as a way to always keep me in the green and not in the red.
Right.
So the way I break it down, where it relates to even expenses. So I don't always have 30% of expenses when I'm flipping or when I'm doing a real estate transaction. But what I do is I anticipate new expenses based on the next flip or the
Hmm.
next deal
Hmm.
to always keep me profitable, right?
Hmm.
So I hope I didn't get totally off topic, but I think it's all relative.
No, that's perfect. So that was
That's
perfect.
what I
Yeah.
would
Yeah.
say
Yeah.
to those who are in this space and they're doing pretty well. But the way to scale is to make sure you have more than one stream of income,
Hmm.
even in the real estate space. And it's the gift that keeps on giving. You can do it and never have to then become a truck driver, although truck driving is a thing. But my point is, you don't ever have to switch in and out or try to learn something new or learn a new industry because real estate will afford you the opportunity to have, to hit all of those income streams.
Yeah, I decide to win. Pick a horse and ride it, and decide that because if you won't be beat, you can't be beat.
Sure.
And so you got to make a decision that you can't be beat. And so with the back to Napoleon Hill
Amen.
thing, it's 5% have no chief definite aim, and most of the other 95% they have no plan, right? So that's why I love you helping create a plan. So if you have a thing you want and a plan, you're ahead of like 99% of people in the world,
Absolutely, because you're just not out here on a whim. Like
right?
a lot of even newbies and even people, some seasoned investors. It's like and spiritually, biblically, it's like don't be torn with every winning doctrine, right? And when you don't have a plan or you haven't sufficiently counted the cost, you'll be driven by the next big idea or the next big wave. And never be prepared or equipped to follow that wave.
Right.
And so it's just extremely important to have a plan. So that be your guide, and then everything. And listen, here's the reality. For myself, sometimes I'm working and reworking that plan based on current conditions, or if I have new aspirations, or if my circumstances change. I leave it as lean and flexible as possible, so that if I need to adjust in midair, I'm able to do it and still be profitable and still be successful.
Yes, that's when somebody says plans. Man's plans are it's like God is laughing at you. Somebody told me that one time, but it's because you need to have a plan. But see, because an airplane when it takes off is off track, off course 90% of the time. So you always have to make constant course direction. So and we talked about this the other day. That's why I teach principle based planning, because see, principles don't change, right? Saving that doesn't change.
Right.
Income up, protecting yourself, right? Making sure you leave a legacy, building liquidity, building philosophy. So now there's a lot of ways to do that. Strategy, right? So principles drive strategy, strategy drive tactics, which is our philosophy. But you need to okay, here is what I want, and here is my SMART goal. When I was at your workshop, we went over having SMART goals and everything. I don't find people do that with their businesses, with their real estate, and then they're just out there like a ship without a rudder. And so I can hug you right now. We got to do this again. So there's so much stuff to talk about. But here's what I want to do. I want to respect every time. This is I'm so fired up right now. And tell them. So tell them we're gonna put the shows, but tell them about what you got going on, how they can follow you, how they can work with you if they choose, how they can be a member of your BTS. So go into that a little bit, because folks, you got to hear it, but then you got to be involved.
You got to do.
You got to do it.
Faith without works is dead. So we talked about people having the faith that God is going to change things based on the Bible that I'm reading. God has provided for everything that we need. And when we tap in, then that faith that we have of tapping in doesn't just cause us to sit on the sideline, it causes us to act, right? So a quarterback is not throwing to anybody on the sidelines. You have to actively participate in your own rescue and or your own betterment, right? You cannot be, you may not be in debt or struggling, or your investment activity is prime and you're doing well. But you should be an avid learner in this space. You should be staying where the fire is so that you can constantly grow and get to more. So with that, I do have a seminar that's coming up, a webinar. It's free. And it's called Deep Pockets Over Debt. It's a free webinar. It is January the 18th at 7 p.m. You can connect with me. So that's one thing. And then I'll give you just emails, IGs, and all of that. The other thing that I have coming up is a masterclass called Real Estate Made Easy. And for those who are your viewers today, because I love you, I am offering a $200 discount on the course. That course is designed for you who don't know where to start, or don't know where to begin in real estate, don't know how, and you want to begin, but don't after you get the education, don't have the supports that actually take you into execution. That class is designed for you. If, like Curtis mentioned, you're seasoned and want to scale, that course is designed for you, and we provide built-in resources. If you need credit repair, if you need financial planning, Curtis helps with that. If you need a construction management team, I have that. So it's called Real Estate Made Easy, so you can take quick action. That is the key between those who move and grow, or those who move and stay stagnant. They don't take quick action. So it's designed to help you take quick and immediate action, not just get the education component of it. That class is on the 21st. Curtis will provide some flyers if you need to, with all the detailed information there. And then I have I'm a member of BTS, a community that you and I are part of. I am one of their real estate executives. BTS has been around for over 7 years. I've been a member for about six and a half. And it's so much I can say about that community. And community, I always tell people you should have a coach, a community, and preparation for growing your cash, right?
Right.
And this community is amazing. It has like a one-stop shop for all of your real estate investing needs. If you go to thebetterthansuccess.com, I was able to get a deep discount for Curtis's viewers and his audience. Relationships have benefit.
There you
Just
go.
remember that for you all out there. And so if you use at checkout Terri, TERRIB, you will get a deep discount on the annual membership. So we have that available. And then if you want to talk to me offline, again, for your viewers today, I am offering a 15-minute free exploration call just to see where you are, see if I can help you in any way. And if I can't, where I can redirect you. You can email support, that's SUPPORT, at built2-last.com. That is BUILTTO -last.com. And there you can either inquire about the 15-minute free exploration call, or if you know you're already ready to go, but just need some support and need a strategy and a plan, as we've been talking about, that you can inquire there for that. Please connect with me on Instagram. I am at Built to Last Solutions. That's at Built to Last Solutions. And would love to connect with you. Anyway, again, I come from humble beginnings, and I know for a fact is the reason why I'm just so passionate about not just having transactions, but being relational. I believe you're able to accomplish a lot more when you kind of take away the transactional approach. And so I'm sure I can help you, but if you decide I can't, I do have resources and contacts that I'm willing to share.
All right, that's awesome, Terri. Thank you so much. This has been a fabulous conversation, and with resource, some real, like, because my goal of these shows, I want y'all to be able to walk away with something that you can do, or a course adjust and get better. Some of y'all like, yo, the mindset stuff. Listen, the mindset stuff is why she's winning. Okay, so don't discount that, right? So you need to get into that. That's got to be part of your plan. What books you're going to read this year? What class you're going to attend this year? Because you have to sharpen the saw constantly. That's how you got to increase your ability to earn. Why do you do that? You have to learn how to solve more problems. Entrepreneurs solve problems for a profit. Okay, and so the bigger the problem,
Yes,
bigger the check. All right, so, and that's what you're doing. You're not taking advantage of people. You're solving problems for people.
Absolutely, absolutely. I hear people saying that the more money you make, the more problems you have, and I just have a different mindset around that as well. It doesn't have to be.
Right,
With proper preparation and and following some achievable steps, like going to financial planning first, making sure the business of the business is tight, your legals and your accounting. So I won't get into that, because I'm sure that'll be another segment, but it doesn't even have to be. And
right,
so what it does, if we're not careful, it conditions people's mind not to want to make more money.
right.
And we have to be so careful that we're not lazy with our language, and some of the things that we say. But I do want to give a resource that I'm reading right now. It's Leading the Life That You Want by Stuart Friedman. It's amazing. And so I like to share. And then the other one that I'm reading is Unoffendable, and I do not have that author's name off the top of my head. But those are, if you want to some good reads, some easy reads, but something that can empower you in a different type of way. Those are my go-tos right now.
I love it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm not sure
type it
if I'm
out.
supposed to be doing this, but my husband, and I know I said I'm all things real estate, I'm
Okay.
all things Jesus, but I'm also a wife, a mother, and all of that. My husband just provided me, he just put the book right in front of me, and it's by Ryan Leake. It's called Unoffendable. And when we talk about mindset, the reason why I renew myself with this, because in this thing of real estate investing, building wealth, you have to not be offended.
Right.
You cannot, I'm ready to go off on that, but I'll yield the floor. I'm sorry, Curtis, but I just wanted to share those.
No, I love it. I mean, look, my dad used to say, look, business and feelings have nothing to do with each other. So you have to, you got to get tougher. You have to, what's that book by Salem Talib? Anti-Fragile. Like, when things get tougher, you need to get tougher, and or Sticks and Stones will break my bones, but names never hurt me. But you have to, be more resilient, be, unfitable, stop being so politically correct, and focus on winning the game. Okay. And, getting your past the goal line. So it's so much stuff. We both do a lot of sports analogies, but that's it. It's so many games I play myself, because what happens is Terri and I have moved into this. If you want to leave your job, you got to move from what I call work processing, where people pay you at the end of the week, to you have to live in the performance economy, right? Where you've made a decision, you will be 100% responsible for your own income. So you relieve the world from that. That's the number one entrepreneurial decision. And the second one is that you don't deserve any money unless you create value in the marketplace first. And see, so if you're not willing to make those two decisions, keep your job or do it on the side.
Come on, Curtis. I'm ready to pass it off.
Now she got me hyped. So listen, guys, go out there. This is fun. And it's a good way to start your year. You're thinking right? And go out there. Make sure you reach out to her, follow her, and get with all the stuff. This talk should be out before the seminars. If it's when you record this, if it's after some of the dates, you can still reach out to her, email her, and follow BTS. Absolutely. So we're gonna try to get this out fast, so you have a chance to get this and follow up. But Terri, thank you so much for being a guest on the Practical Wealth Show. Thank
you so much for having me. It's all my pleasure. The pleasure is mine to be here with you. I appreciate you so much. As you know, I tell people, they should be starting with you, and then they get their minds right over there,
yeah,
and then come.
That's why you're my new favorite.
So I appreciate you, sir. I appreciate the work that you're doing and trying to do, and how you, you could, based on your caliber of person and all of the things that you have achieved professionally and personally, you could be only targeting a specific audience. But what I love about you is, you don't despise humble beginnings, and you don't forget where you come from, and you have a heart for our community. And so it was just awesome being here with you today. Thank you for having me. I greatly appreciate you, sir.
All right. Right back at you. All right, guys, go out there, make it a prosperous day. Reach out to Terri. And thanks again. Listen, if you like this episode, share it. Listen, like, and share. Leave us a testimony. Not testimony. What's it called? A comment? Something. I forget what it's called right now. But anyway, do that. Okay. And,
share.
Right. Share. Listen, like, and share. And make it a great day, everybody. Thanks for listening to the Practical Wealth Show. We're out.